I don't know if this has been covered already, but this Jones edge rusher from Tennessee that was given to the Ravens for a 5th-round pick, which is conditional. Was that someone that they would have been interested in? Tremont Jones? Do you know who that is?
Yeah, he's more of a defensive lineman, defensive tackle. He's a smaller guy.
Because they call him an edge rusher on this. Tennessee edge rusher Draymond Jones last night headed to the Ravens.
Yeah, Tennessee and now the Ravens, because they run the same defensive schemes, can place people across the defensive line. And look, Milton Williams used to be strictly a defensive tackle. Same with Christian Barmore. The way they're using them now, I just call them defensive linemen. And it's not because I picked defensive end if I had to choose one, but their usage to me, just like we talk about, I don't know, big men in basketball or wings, there's not just a point guard and a shooting guard, small forward, power forward. The terms, the usage is getting blurred now. So, yeah, versatile guy. 5th-round pick, I think it's probably just a disagreement on value there. And, again, where they need help the most is edge. Because even Kyrus Tonga, the 3rd defensive tackle, has been awesome. So if you're going to play him more inside, you're probably good for a 5th. But if they get an edge rusher, again, Arden Key, who I keep bringing up, or somebody else, I personally would do that. That price is fine by me. You got 4 6th-round picks. You get 2 4ths. Come on now.
Okay.
I look at the offensive side of the ball, Andrew, and my theory has been while Drake Maye is on his rookie contract and his salary doesn't crush your salary cap and kind of limit your ability to retain people or bring in help, take advantage of this 7-2 season. Get this kid a wide receiver. Get this kid some help so we can get the ball out fast, as Hardy was saying, or, God forbid, have a guy who can bust one-on-one coverage when it's man-to-man. Patriots don't have a guy like that. And if you're 7-2, you are incredibly lucky to be where you are, 7-2 in year one of the Vrabel era. Take advantage of it while you can. Why won't they do that?
Well, they've actually been really good against man coverage. And part of it is Maye's legs. Now, stepping back for a second, if I was a defensive coordinator and I had guys who could run with the receivers, I would play man coverage against them.
Which wide receiver keeps a defensive coordinator up nights?
Keyshawn Boutte deep. He's the best contested catch receiver in the league.
Okay, he's hurt right now. And
how hurt is he?
I don't think it's that serious, but this is just my general sense. I've not gotten back in any kind of word on the reporting on that. But Mike Vrabel said this week, doesn't expect them to practice anytime soon. To me, that sounds like Sunday and probably the Thursday night game after, but maybe just one of them. Maybe just Sunday.
We got to hope he doesn't play on Thursday.
We don't want to face the Jets.
But hold on.
They're only running the table away from a playoff shot.
Sure.
Keyshawn Boutte misses that game, and DeMario Douglas has his first 100-yard game of the season. Does that not speak to receiver depth?
I think it speaks to how good your quarterback is.
Yeah, I think the quarterback is elevating people around him more than the receivers are spectacular, don't you?
I think both can be true. I don't think we need to make this a mutually exclusive kind of proposition here because, again, when they are covered against man coverage, which is how I would play them right now, just you're at a pick your poison place with Maye, right? He can be top 3 by EPA per play against man. I go, look, zone with this team and Stephon Diggs, his feel, and Boutte, and all this different stuff. It's just I'm getting killed either way. But I feel better about those. So to me, receiver's not that high on my list because I also know Boutte's going to get better. Pop Douglas is going to get better. Matt Collins is playing receiver, but he's actually only just blocking most of the time now. Once I actually throw him some footballs, and he had 8 catches a couple of weeks ago, he's gonna catch them.
Well, it's like the argument, how many of these quarterbacks that are drafted are victims of the system that they're drafted into. It's the same thing with receivers, is that these guys probably all have an inherent talent. There's no way that they're not fast or their size. It's just a matter of a lot of what you can control is the guy throwing you the football.
And you're coaching, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so, there's no doubt. We saw it. Pop Douglas, is a capable receiver with the ball in his hands. Boutte could have been a first-round pick if he didn't screw up. And so these guys are inherently talented, but the system and the quarterback weren't in place to let them, like a generational talent can overcome all of that. But if you're just a good receiver, that a 2-3 receiver, that's so dependent on scheme and quarterback. And I think that's maybe what you're seeing.
And I'm looking ahead to possible playoff opponents and wins you need in December to jockey for playoff position. Buffalo looked pretty good defensively against Kansas City last weekend, and Baltimore's defense, when healthy, is very difficult to go against, and you have those two teams back-to-back in December, and you may have to play one or two of them in the playoffs. So I would like a receiver that can excel against defenses like that. I'm talking about going and getting an impact guy. And if you have to give up a second-round draft pick, I'd still do it in a second.
So the Ravens, health is a little bit of a factor, but even when they were healthy early in the season, it's a bottom 10 defense.
No, they don't have a good defense.
The talent's there, which we recognize the names, and last year they were excellent, and I can't fully explain beyond just iffy coaching and health like you're talking about for why they've been bottom 10. But I'm not making a trade to beat the Ravens. If you want to make the case about why you would trade for a receiver and the defenses you're going to see. Kansas City plays a lot of man coverage. You've got the Colts who are doing a little bit of everything right now. Teams that you can say, we're going to have to go play them. Here's a receiver who brings a different skill set than the guys you got right now, because Kyle Williams is just doing nothing through half a season. Rashid Shaheed from the Saints, who should absolutely be selling. That dude is a game breaker, can run up to 21, 22 miles an hour in the open field. Granted, it's one thing to just have him run. It's another to get him the ball in space. But if you can do that, he can take it to the house in the way that Booty can't, Diggs can't with the afterburner speed. Pop Douglas maybe and Trevion Henderson. But that's a guy, if you want a different skill set to build out the receiving core, there's a name.
Okay. There is a name. And John is very much in going all in on the season.
Yes.
All in.
Oh, okay.
I am. I would look what happened to Washington Commanders this year. NFC Championship one year, and then all of a sudden a lot of people get hurt. Your quarterback gets hurt, and things are very different this year. There's no guarantee. It's just because they have this season that's good that it's going to repeat itself next year.
Before Andrew even answers that, though, couldn't you make the argument, John, that the Commanders last year, as good a year as that they had, and the win against the Lions was fantastic, but they got exposed for being as ready as they looked. They weren't really ready. So
sure, they got to the NFC Championship game and looked overmatched. Of course,
right. So what did they gain by having the run? I'm not looking past having a great run and getting to a conference championship. I'm not saying that's nothing and it was all for naught. But there is some folly in going in all in on a season when you think you've got everything working, everything clicking, only to be exposed in the second to biggest moment.
Because in the AFC this year, there isn't a one dominant team. In the NFC, the Eagles were it. Everyone knew it.
Well, no. If the Lions going into the playoffs were every bit as much of a favorite as the Eagles.
You're still making my point. The NFC, you knew there were dominant teams out there.
Stepped right into his trap, dummy.
Yeah.
Well, watch this. I'll confuse him by making him to do something right here.
Oh. The AFC doesn't have a monster out there, Andrew. The AFC is open this year, unlike the NFC last year.
So here's the deal. I like what Hardy's saying because it's a good point. If you don't win the Super Bowl and then you regress the next year, what good was it? But how would the AFC, aside from Cincinnati, whose defense is atrocious, how is the AFC going to be dramatically different next year than it is this year, except for Cincinnati?
I mean, there's so many moving parts, though.
That's what I'm
Lamar
saying.
Jackson is healthy for an entire year.
But
if defense is their weakness,
I'm not looking that far ahead because again, you have teams go worse.
Well, it's a philosophical thing, and it's the trade deadline.
I understand, but look, there are other people I've heard speak like John is about the AFC's down. Now is the time to strike. Now is the time to do this. What I would tell you is that despite the record and the winning streak, the talent on the roster does not match the teams that you're going to need and win multiple playoff games, even if you make one player trade. You're not one player away. I look at this team as being one offseason away. Now, if I get better, as does the rest of the AFC, that's fine because I'm positioning myself not just to win in 2026, but in years after because you have a guy in Drake Maye. So my thinking is I don't want to maximize my championship odds this year. I want to maximize my championship odds, period, which means upping my equity year after year after year. Sustainable contention. And that takes a much better roster than they have right now, especially when you guys got like Shaheed and Jalen Phillips and all these people that we talk about that are on expiring contracts. So I do find it a little persuasive. But I think what they want to do is to be able to kind of set it and forget it with the roster and know they're going to show up and be there in January. This has been a surprise. But next year with a much harder schedule, because we know that has greased the wheels more than anything, that schedule stops being easy in January. I don't believe they're positioned to win multiple games right now, so I'm not going to do a one-player trade that maybe gives them a chance to maybe make the AFC Championship game and then maybe make the Super Bowl. Keep your bullets in the chamber, fire in the offseason, build the roster, be as bulletproof as you can.
All right. You go all in like the Jets last year, and look where they got them.
For all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.